What's up, college sports fans? I'm Stucky.
I'm Colin Wilson.
I'm Mike Calabrese.
I'm Maria Marino.
I'm Charlie DiSturco, and we're excited that the Big Bets on Campus brand is launching its very own YouTube channel.
You'll be able to find every episode of the BBOC podcast, live shows, and other college sports content on this new channel.
Not only will the channel be dedicated to betting on college sports, but you'll also be able to find exclusive interviews with former college athletes,
college football power rankings,
and updates on other topics like the brand new College Football 25 video game series and the ins and outs of the recruiting trail all the way down to the transfer portal.
Whether you're into college football,
college basketball,
college baseball, or any of the college sports,
we are the home for college sports, and BBOC is the channel for you.
Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the action. I'll see you there.
Welcome to Buckets, Action Network's WNBA betting podcast presented by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. I'm your host, Joe Delara, and I'm joined by Brian Fonseca. This is your Women's Olympic Basketball Quarterfinals betting preview. Brian and I are going to discuss the remaining teams in the women's bracket and where we're seeing value in the knockout rounds. We also have an episode focused on the men's quarterfinals that's out right now on Buckets, so you can check that out as well. The women's quarterfinal matchups will be played on Wednesday, August 7th. Let's get into it. All right, Brian, we've got a pretty loaded quarterfinals here. We have Australia versus Serbia, Belgium versus Spain, France versus Germany, and obviously, again, the immense favorites, Team USA versus Nigeria. Let's go down this slate really in order. We've got the first game off the top is Australia. They're minus 6.5 point favorites versus Serbia. Is there any way that you're looking at this game, or do you have any bets for this game?
This one is a tough one because I don't love Serbia in that way. I don't feel like they've been amazing. They were great against China, so full credit to them. They lost to Spain as expected, and they barely beat Puerto Rico after leading by 20 plus, and they won that by a possession against the Puerto Rican national team who benched their best player, Arella Gurantes, and Maya Hollingshed couldn't hit anything, damn near. Their second best player on the team. Trinity San Antonio was picking up the slack, and she's a college basketball player at Grand Canyon University right now, who I think is good. Yeah, who I think is good. Like Trinity San Antonio, I'm actually excited about like her progress in that program. But Serbia, they were heavy, like 19-point favorites or whatever in that game, and Puerto Rico covered. Like easily covered. And Serbia also didn't score in the first 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. Like they did not score a point in the first 7 minutes of the fourth quarter in that game. Australia's been all over the place because they lost to Nigeria and they went ahead and beat in desperate fashion. They beat a French national team in France who already advanced. And who won the group anyway. But like Australia really needed that game. They played like it, and they showed their mettle. Like they showed why people thought, hey, this team can medal in the Olympics. Maybe they can get the silver even. And they came out the gate, and they've just been like very inconsistent. So this is a stay away from me. Maybe an under, maybe. But total is so low already at like 131.5, and I think I'm good on that. I think this one is just where like I don't trust either of these two teams, so it's probably going to be a stay away from me, and we'll be on the lookout for some props because I could probably be interested in that piece of this, if anything.
Yeah, this game I thought was a little bit tough. Right before we sat down to record, we saw our good buddy Jim Turvey log a Serbia money line bet in the Action app.
Did you tell him you were going to do this? Did you tell him you were going to mention that?
No, but I'm just throwing it out there right now. Jim logged it, and I was like, Jim, what are the notes? like but because Brian and I were struggling on this game because it just felt like it felt very toss-up-y to us. So we were just looking to see if there was any other information that was out there, but just differing opinions on Serbia though. I think where Brian feels that it's just they haven't really impressed. Jim feels like they've done enough at least at the number. So it's definitely a tough game, and I think it's probably the toughest game on the slate right now, at at least from a betting angle from us when we're looking at what the spread is at the 6.5. One game that we did both immediately have bets on was Belgium -1.5 versus Spain. Brian, what are we looking at here? I know that we're both in sync on this bet.
Belgium -1.5 will swallow the point there. I believe producer David Payne told us this open in Belgium was a +1 point underdog. Now, barely an underdog, barely. But, I mean, Belgium was a team that, like, barely made it out of their group. And Spain, Spain, obviously, like, they were successful in theirs where they barely, again, talking about Puerto Rico covering, they beat them by 1 point, and that was another comeback effort from a team that they really should have handled. They did handle Serbia, and the game against China was very interesting because China, who I thought could win their group, and is eliminated because of point differential, and honestly because of this game. The first game of the Olympics for Spain was against China. And China was winning for a majority of that game. And then Megan Gustafson pushed that to overtime. And then they won in overtime and sort of stole that one. And that just sort of changed the dynamic of the rest of that group and how it played out. Because from there, China just had a big 22-point loss to Serbia. And that's been Serbia's most impressive performance for sure. And then Spain goes out. They barely beat Puerto Rico. And if not for, bad officiating, it's entirely possible that they lose that game. And then they end up winning the group anyway. So, but to me, I think like they've kind of gotten lucky in that regard. And then Belgium, they have the leading scorer in the entire tournament by far. Emma Maceman has been really good. And she's not the only good player on this Belgium team, but I think Belgium, who won Eurobasket a couple years ago, is better than how they've played. And I like them to win this game against Spain, who I've kind of been underwhelmed with, even though I know that they're dangerous.
Yeah, I think that Belgium was one of those teams looking at the tournament, was a team that a lot of people were looking at as a team that could maybe go far. They played back in February. They played Team USA. Team USA needed a buzzer beater to beat them. Team USA won 81-79 back in February. Obviously, Asia Wilson didn't play. Chelsea Gray didn't play. At the same time, though, Team USA is so loaded. Like I get that Asia is really the best player in the world right now. And, Chelsea Gray, also incredible player that she's her teammate there. But at the same time, Belgium's a team that people were really looking at saying like, they're going to be good. And looking at what they did or what they've done so far in the tournament, obviously Messiman, she's leading all scorers. She's averaging over 26 points a game, 26.3 to be exact. She's done this against really elite competition. When you look at it, she did this against the United States. She did it against Germany, who also advanced, and Japan. It was really the weakest of the bunch. And that was a little bit more of a game where you would have expected her to really dominate, just, based on the size on the interior, things like that. But she's done really well against two other teams that advanced. Belgium is, I think, I would say they're a little bit more of a surprising third seed, or like a surprising third team in out of a group here. So to me, especially given the fact that we've seen the line move and the line kind of swing across the zero, I'm still comfortable. Like, look, you don't want to bet the money line. You're giving up extra. These games, they can't end in a tie. So I think that you're giving up too much value, if you want the money line to save you from a 1 point win here. So I like the 1.5, really for all the reasons that Brian said, plus the fact that I think that they're a little bit undervalued right now, given the fact they're 1-2, but they're a team that was looked at as a potential threat to Team USA even.
Yeah, because the Team USA performance, Belgium made that a single-digit game going into the fourth quarter. And Team USA just pulls away at the end. Like, they had the Sabrina Ionescu 3. Without that, I mean, you're talking about a closer game than even 13 points. Team USA did not. I don't think they covered in that game either.
No,
I think they were pretty big favorites. Belgium, they were competitive in that game, despite the fact that they shot very poorly from three. They were 5 of 27. It's basically 18.5%. And Julie Van Loo was 1 for 11 from three. I don't think that's something that's probably going to happen again. Maybe it does. Again, keep saying it. March Madness time. Like, now the single elimination, shit just happens. But Belgium just shot very poorly in that game. I think the 3-point shooting is something they're going to try to lean on. Maybe they get close to 30 attempts again. Excuse me. Maybe even over that against Spain. But I think the shooting is due to sort of have I don't want to say like that, like hokey and cliche, but I think
Yeah.
they can shoot the ball well against Spain is the point, with
Yeah.
Julie Van Loo having a step up performance and then Emma Maceman doing what she's been doing basically the entire tournament.
Yeah. And I think the point that you're making with Belgium is like, look, pretty much everything that's bad that could have happened to them in terms of like a variance perspective has happened to them. They're not a team that we really thought was going to come in and be 1-2. And you figure they probably lose to Team USA still, but you don't really think that they were in a scenario where they were like, we have to win this third game in order to advance. As good as Germany, has been. So looking at the next game, we actually have France, the host nation. This line has moved around from like 2.5 to there's mostly threes in the market at standard juice versus Germany. So France is -3 versus Germany. France, the host nation here. Do you buy into having a little bit of home court here for France? And is it something that you want to buy into now? Or do we think that this line is on the move?
I'm fine with taking France -3, which is probably what I'm going to do. It's tough because Germany's good. Like Satsu Sabali's good. you know, like Germany's been really
Second leading
good. They were
scorer.
good in, they were good in group play. But I think France, especially before the game against Australia, I was like, man, they probably impressed me the most outside of Team USA, who I don't think has actually played like amazing all of the time. You could just watch them and see that, oh, they're just better than everybody else. But they're still, I mean, up until game 3 of group play, the 3-point shooting was something you were like, oh, is that going to come around? And, we'll talk about Team USA in a little bit, but they did some things that I think I'm going to be putting in the back of my head moving forward. But yeah, I just think France is better. Home court, I don't know if home court is actually baked into this line. I feel like maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But then again, they did just lose at home against Australia, who again was desperate, but they did just lose at home against Australia. But I like France to win this. So I'm fine with -3, and I probably want to get it now before this gets to like 4.5, or something along those lines, where, this could be something that is kind of a rock fight, very much a close game because of how Germany's played, and they're in good form right now, as people who watch soccer would say. And Marine Johannes, who I would be interested in her props in this game, because maybe there's a bounce back performance in there. She played 21 minutes against Australia in that loss, shot 4 for 12 from the field, shot 1 for 7 from 3. And yes, we know that she's streaky. It's what makes her a lot of fun to watch. One of the most fun players to watch in all of basketball. But I think she'll have more of an imprint on this game from both a scoring and playmaking perspective. I like this as a potential matchup. And, her creativity is something they're obviously going to need. And Gabby Williams has been just awesome in this tournament. I think she's going to be a problem for Germany as well. So I would probably look at props for those two. I'd be curious if Gabby Williams, if her stocks come out, or maybe just her PRA, something along those lines, would be interesting. Her assists have been okay. So I think there are like different angles to sort of take this, but I mostly like France here. I think -3 is fine. I'm willing to take it, and they're home.
Yeah, and I think just, even if you were looking at it too from a futures perspective, we're not really expecting a team to beat Team USA really at any juncture throughout the Olympics. But just looking at this, France it has significantly shorter odds than Germany. We're looking at France at about 25-1, Germany at about 55-1. France just seems to have a slightly higher ceiling in terms of what their talent is that they can put out on the floor. So I do like France -3, and it's a spot that I'm going to grab. I'm going to tell you as well. Now we're looking at this last game. We're looking at the United States versus Nigeria. The United States is -26.5. Are you interested in laying the points, or are you just interested in watching this game? Maybe looking for some player props.
This is probably a pass for me. Player props, maybe. I could see this being an A'ja Wilson game. It's just now point differential doesn't matter. So you worry about, hey, maybe this is getting out of hand early. Bye-bye, A'ja Wilson. We're going to sit you because in the semis, there's going to be a more serious matchup there. And we could talk about like whether or not there are any futures worth it here. This market less robust than the men's one, just because the women are such a big favorite over everybody else. So like -3,000. And before the tournament started, it was not even -2,000. It was like -1,800, but still like no value there. Nigeria is just, they're the best story of maybe all of Olympic basketball right now. A lot has been made about South Sudan, but Nigeria has actually become the first African team to get to the quarterfinals, and they won 2 games that people did not think they were going to win. They were massive, massive, massive underdogs. I tweeted it out. I don't remember the number exactly. It was 25, 27, 23. It was enormous underdogs against Australia and beat them, I believe, by double digits. And then in an absolute must-win game for the Canadian national team, a team that before the tournament started toyed with the idea like, is Canada a sleeper in this group? Ultimately stayed away because just the consistency on offense was something I was worried about, which I believe we talked about. And it manifested in this game against Nigeria, where they shot 37% from the field. Another underwhelming offensive performance for them. It's been a theme for them, and it was a theme for them in the time that they were in this tournament. 19% from 3 on 26 attempts, like real volume. They were 5 for 26 from 3-point range. I thought maybe this could be a Kia Nurse game. I didn't end up betting it, thank God, because she was 0 for 9 and 0 for 7 from 3, 0 points. And it was really just out of necessity, like not a Kia Nurse game in terms of she's going to play awesome, because, Nigeria is defensively, like they've brought it this entire tournament so far. And in group play, obviously, because we're now getting to the tournament portion. But with Kia Nurse, it was like Canada's going to need her shooting and her offensive creativity. Those things did not manifest. Like, she had more turnovers than points. It is what it is. It's just one of those games. And Nigeria just deserves a lot of credit for how they've played so far. And they beat Canada, a desperate Canada team who needed to win to keep their hopes alive. They beat them 79-70, and they outscored them, busted their ass in the third quarter, 23-5. Their coach is 32 years old. You know what I mean? Like, this is an amazing, amazing story, and it's kind of cool that it culminates in a matchup with Team USA, where, like, yeah, they might get their ass kicked, but they're gonna fight like hell. Team USA, obviously, I'm sure that they respect the run or whatever the case may be. But like, Nigeria has been just a sensational story. Izani Kalu has been one of their best players. And she's somebody whose props I might be interested in, because Nigeria's got to get offense from somewhere.
Yeah. I think that at the end of the day, Team USA is going to advance. And what that means, though, to me, like looking at this, is Team USA is then locked. Like, look, they're not going to lose. They're going to play. They're going to win the gold medal. At the same time, though, there is certainty by moving into the semifinals. You know that you're playing 6 games. When you know that you're playing 6 games, I think that opens up a couple things from some of these props markets, where you can bet on somebody to have the most total points in the tournament. Right now, it's really like a 4-person race for most points in the tournament. You have Messiman, she's at 79. Satu Sabali's at 65. Stewart and Asia are both tied at 61. The next closest is Megan Gustafsson. She's at 51 for Spain. Nobody else is really going to be catching, because Kalu from Nigeria, they're going to lose. Like, they're not going to get this extra game, so she's going to be out. This is really a 4-person race. Looking at this, Belgium and Germany, we both like Belgium, right? In this matchup. Germany, we both are on the other side. We're both on France. So if we're looking at this and you're saying, like, all right, this is really a, like a 3-person or a 4-person race, there might be a little bit of value here. Asia is about plus 124 to lead in terms of all total scoring. Messiman's plus 164, Stewart plus 410, Sabali plus 1120. Is there anybody or any number there that's interesting to you, just like when you hear it off the bat?
You kind of have to say Messiman, don't you?
Yeah, I think you have to, because you're going to say that she's going to get 6 games.
No.
Alternatively,
unless they lose to Spain, obviously. But
yeah, unless they lose to Spain.
If you like Belgium to win the game, then yeah, that's the direction you would go.
That's the way you look at it. But I think it's almost tough, because then it's like, it's a little bit of a parlay in a way, because you have to win the game. She's not gonna win this with 1 game effort, playing 4 games compared to 6 for for Asia and even maybe Sabali. The way I was looking at this, though, is Stewart when you look at for Team USA most points, the matchup is really Asia versus Stewart. Asia's at minus 150, Stewart's at plus 118. They're tied. They have the same amount of points right now. You can get Stewart for plus 410 to lead the entire tournament right now. I don't think that that's a crazy like jump, because even with Messiman putting up these big numbers, it's still possible that maybe, you know, she doesn't really ever get like have these performances, doesn't continue to have these performances. She's shooting over 60% from the field. So if there's a little bit of regression there, I think there's a little bit of an opportunity here to buy Stewart and kind of like corner the market, because we our best bet coming into the tournament was Asia to lead Team USA in scoring. So like if you don't have a position now, having looked at what Stewart's done, I don't think that that's crazy, considering the fact that we know Team USA is going to go through and play 6 games.
Again, single elimination tournament. Like if Brianna Stewart in the next game against Nigeria, if it's just her game and she has 28 and Asia Wilson has like a 16 and 12, that number is absolutely going to drop a lot.
Yeah.
And this is the Stewart angle is interesting. And that actually, in talking it out, is probably the one I want, because again, like we loved before this tournament started, Asia Wilson to lead Team USA in scoring, which we hit at, I think, plus 275.
Yeah.
So this is actually, this is actually a good pivot, because we're good either way. It's like, all right, we're loading up on Team USA, which is part of the risk, but like, no shit, it's betting, it's risky. There's a reason why the best people are barely up units sometimes and win like 53% of their bets. Like, this shit is hard and it's supposed to be hard. I think with Brianna Stewart, that's a good look. She can get hot from the field, from the perimeter. Like, that's the thing that kind of makes her a little bit more of an intriguing option here. And you definitively know, like they're gonna get 6 games. With all due respect to Nigeria, they're gonna get 6 games.
Like I'm not super concerned about, like, they're both 4 points behind Sabali. The concern, they're 18 behind Messiman. So like they really do have to make up some ground there, and that's where you're getting this like bigger plus number. But at the same time,
Spain and France could win.
Yeah.
And then you're okay.
And then it's over. Yeah. And then it's over. That's the thing. So it's like, I think that there might be a little bit of value betting into this market now if you haven't gotten into it yet. Because even if they do advance, like those matchups get tougher then again. And if Belgium somehow is able to make it into a championship game, because they're on the opposite side of the bracket as Team USA, that's probably about as tough of a matchup as you're going to get, just head to head. So definitely something, I think it's something to consider, something to look at anyway. Is there anything that you're looking at or that you're waiting to see align for like this team to medal? Because when I'm looking at this market and when I'm looking at the way that the bracket is kind of structured, obviously, if you're not on the Team USA side of the bracket, you have to be like thankful you're getting way more opportunities to medal realistically, because you can, like, if you make it to the semifinals, you're playing for a chance to get into the title game, guaranteed at least a silver medal. Is there anything that you're looking at here and you're saying like, all right, I'm interested. There's a team that maybe I want to buy right now?
I'm interested in France and Germany, because it's interesting that they play each other and they have the shortest odds to win silver. I find that very fascinating. It also says a lot about the other side of the bracket, but France is plus 160 to win silver. Germany is plus 280 to win silver. Can you go as far as saying, instead of betting Germany plus 3 or France minus 3, just bet them to win silver? It's mainly for Germany, because plus 280, if you think they're going to win the game, they would knock out France, the host, I still think second best team in this bracket. And honestly, I told you before we started, I think France versus Germany is like medal game worthy or semifinal game worthy, where the winner can play Team USA. This is kind of how they're putting this in the market. They're kind of telling you like, hey, whoever wins this game, we like them to play Team USA eventually in the gold medal game. And I probably do too, looking at the rest of the field.
I think that that's pretty fair to say, or at least to cap it that way, especially considering, that we saw, Germany beat Belgium pretty good, honestly. A team that we thought was going to be like a pretty tough test for them, and, a team that we thought was going to be good in this Olympics. So I think at plus 280, that's a pretty solid number that you're getting there. Obviously, we both think that France wins this game. We bet France -3, but it's definitely a way that you could, like, if you do like Germany, that might be, maybe that's like the better way to play the market. I will say we had this conversation on the men's podcast about betting winner without. And if you're if you're looking at this bracket, you really shouldn't be betting Nigeria, Australia, or Serbia to win without Team USA. All three, Nigeria literally has to beat them. Like this game, they have to beat them. And then Serbia and Australia, the winner, is also going to have to go through Team USA in the semifinals. So you can't get around playing Team USA on that side of the bracket. And then even if you did beat Team USA, number one, like, props to you, right? But besides that, you still got to go win the final then. At least on the other side of the bracket, you can bet that, and you say, like, all right, look, Team USA is so prohibitively a favorite to get to that point, to get to the favorite or to get to the title game. Maybe that's the spot to do it. So that actually, there's a market there, Brian. So to your point about Germany being the silver medalist, I don't hate Germany winner without Team USA at plus 340. I think that maybe is, because to me, that's the same bet. Just in the fact that I don't think that there's a team on the USA side of the bracket that's going to put up enough of a fight to eliminate them, or really maybe even see a spread that's under 15, right? So to me, I think if you can get that functionally is the same as a silver medal bet, because because Germany's on the opposite side of the bracket as Team USA.
That's so interesting. It made me think about the medal market, because to medal this is one we talked about on the men's side. We should do this quickly before we wrap here. France is -118. I like France. Do I like them to beat Germany that much? Maybe. -118. I think that's fair. It's okay. And it's telling you, like, hey, France beats Germany, they'll be fine. And, like, even if they lose at the semis, which at that point, I don't think they're absolutely going to be favorites in the semifinals if they beat Germany, like 1,000%, against whomever. Spain is plus 158 to medal, second shortest odds. Belgium and Germany plus 172, both of them, which is kind of funny. Australia plus 250, Serbia plus 400. And if you want to get crazy, Nigeria to medal is plus 6,500.
Imagine they beat USA and then, like, can't win after that.
So like, if you want to swerve USA with this miracle Nigeria story, that, again, the best story in Olympic basketball this year, just hit them plus 6,500 to win a medal. Like, just do that.
You really want to get real funky with it.
Yeah, like, if you really want to get crazy, just do that. But yeah. I'm not gonna take that. Any team interests you there to win a medal at all?
I think Belgium was interesting to me a little bit, based on the fact that I think they win this game. At the same time, I'm not, like, I don't need it. I'd rather bet Misamin to lead in total points. I think that would be my bet then. Like, if I was going to bet, because I don't need them to win, I just need them to advance one game, and then I know that she's got like a 19-point lead over everybody else. So that would be what I would do if I was looking for a way to back Belgium to continually advance. But I do think that Germany plus 340 as, like, winner without Team USA, that to me, like, functionally kind of works, just based on the fact that in the women's bracket, it's so tough, because it, like, Team USA for the men's, they're the favorite, but they're not a favorite to the point that you look at them and you say, there's no way anybody's upsetting them.
Right.
Like every time they go out there, you're like, oh, like could they lose? Like maybe like this game's fun. Like there's spots in the game where you're like, oh my god, like this is I'm sweating a little
There's
bit.
close calls.
There's some close calls. With the women, like they were losing like earlier today. They were losing to start the game because they continue to start Diana Taurasi, and they were losing to start the game, and they made some lineup changes, and then they weren't losing anymore. Surprise. So there's always a little bit of interest there, I think, right?
We should also mention those lineup changes that might be important moving forward. So like they came out in the second half, and they've been starting in their backcourt Jewel Lloyd. I mean, no, I spoiled it. They've been starting Diana Taurasi and Chelsea Gray, and they subbed in to start the third quarter Jewel Lloyd and Sabrina Ionescu.
Yeah.
I noticed right away, as expected, it allowed them to play faster. Sabrina Ionescu gives you shooting and playmaking that they need in that lineup. The offensive creativity from a shot creation standpoint is going to be better. And again, you have shooters that can complement Asia Wilson. And even though I think Chelsea Gray is like, I think we both hit her to lead the team in assists before this started.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's at right now, but we should probably check in on that. If she's obviously going to come off the bench, that worries me a little bit. I kind of think you can get away with just her starting with Sabrina Ionescu and continue to bring Jewel Lloyd off the bench. But I think they should lean into Jewel Lloyd more anyway, because they need the offensive creativity that she provides and the scoring punch. And the team has struggled from three, in totality, at least, in this tournament. So I'm curious to see if that's going to be the starting lineup moving forward, or they're going to go back to DT and Chelsea Gray and then sort of ease in again Sabrina Ionescu and Jewel Lloyd, or if they actually decide to try it out, like, all right, we'll do Kelsey Plum and Jewel Lloyd this time, like play with it a little bit. And this is a game where you could actually, like, even though it's a quarterfinal game, you could experiment with all due respect against Nigeria.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a little bit of opportunity here to do some to change up a couple things, see what works, and really get prepared for some of these games that, you know, the semifinals and the finals. But it's going to be an exciting game either way, and it's always just awesome to see all of the talent that's out on the court for Team USA in particular, but obviously all these teams in the Olympics. So that'll do it for this episode of Buckets presented by BetMGM. Be sure to download the Action Network app, and don't forget to check out the Buckets podcast feed for our episode on the men's quarterfinals. For Brian Fonseca, I'm Joe Delara. Thanks for listening. Good luck with all your bets, and we'll see you next time.